Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna go through the most infamous stories of Reddit. Now, don't say I did not warn you. I hope you're not eating, and if you're squeamish, this might not be for you. So two of the stories that we're gonna cover today, the first one is gonna be called the poop knife. The second one is gonna be called the Swamps of Dagobah, and not the Swamps of Dagobah that you're thinking about. So anyways, let's get started. First off, we're gonna be covering the the poop knife. So here goes. My family poops big. Maybe it's genetic, maybe it's our diet, but everyone births giant logs of crap. If anyone has laid a mega poop, you know that sometimes it will flush. It lays across the hole in the bottom of the bowl, and the vortex of the draining water merely gives it a spin as it mocks you. Quite the image there. Growing up, this was a common enough occurrence that our family had a poop knife. It was an old rusty kitchen knife that hung on a nail in the laundry room, only to be used for that purpose. It was normal to walk through the hallway and have someone call out, "Hey, can you get me the poop knife?" I thought it was a standard kit. You have your plunger, your toilet brush, and your poop knife. Fast forward to 22. It's been a day or two before poops, and I'm over at a friend's house. My friend was the local dealer and always had guests over, because you can't buy weed without sitting your ass and sampling it for an hour. I excuse myself and lay a gigantic turd. Oh boy, we know where this is gonna go. I look down and see that it's a sideways one. So I crack the door and call out for my friend. He arrives and I ask him for his poop knife. "My what?" "Your poop knife," I say. "I need to use it. Please." What the hell is a poop knife? Obviously he has one, but maybe he calls it a more delicate name? A fecal cleaver, a dung divider, a guano glaive? I explain what it is that I want and why I want it. He starts giggling, then laughing. Then lots of people start laughing. It turns out the music stopped and everyone heard my pleas through the door. It also turns out that none of them had poop knives. It was just my up family with their up bowels. F my life. I told this to my wife last night, who was amused and horrified at the same time. It turns out that she did not know what a poop knife was and had been using the old rusty knife hanging in the utility closet as a basic utility knife. Thankfully, she did not cook with it, but used it to open Amazon boxes. Those poor boxes. At least she didn't cook with it. Oh my goodness. She will be getting her own utility knife from now on. Oh my goodness. So I did some research on this poop knife, like main research as in like just scrolling through the Reddit comments, and there was actually a link. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys. I found that there was an actual poop knife. Somebody literally went out there and had this thing made, turned it into a gag gift, and is selling on Amazon. It's sold out right now, but this thing bloody exists. And the description on it is actually hilarious. The description of this is literally from the Reddit post. "A heavy silicone covered butter knife used to chop your turds. Do you, your friends, or your family poop big? Do those logs sometimes need a little help going down? Endlessly spinning poops will mock you from the toilet vortex no more." Jesus Christ. Here's some of the features. There's 5 of them. Here's the first. "Be a samurai of the poo-poo platter. This knife comes in hilarious packaging." 2. Ridiculous gag gift for friends and family, or daily necessity? You decide. 3. Metal reinforced silicone is strong, hygienic, easy to clean, and dishwasher safe, if you dare. Why the bloody hell would you put this thing in a dishwasher along with your other dishes? Like, I know the dishwasher is supposed to clean everything, it's supposed to like get rid of all the bacteria, but just the thought of like something to cut your poop with in with the rest of your dishes, I don't know. No. 4. This will cut poop. Tested on the most ferocious of bug crocodiles without a fight. Curious about what an original poop knife feels like? Imagine a heavy silicone covered butter knife. Ooh. And 5. Long enough to keep your hand clear of danger in a standard DAF toilet. So you don't touch your poop. So this thing is actually sold out right now, so unfortunately you can't buy one as a gag gift, but it does exist. So you might want to keep an eye. You might want to keep an eye out on it if you really want to. So our next story actually came from an Ask Reddit thread. The question was, doctors, nurses / Redditors, what has been your most gory, disgusting, or worst medical experience? This is where the story of the Swamps of Dagobah comes in. This came from an OR nurse, and it's a bit of a long one, so just bear with me. I was taking a call one night and woke up at 2 in the morning for a general surgery call. Pretty vague, but at the time I lived in a town that had large populations of young military guys and avid meth users, so late night emergencies were common. Got to the hospital where a few more details awaited me. Perirectal abscess. For the uninitiated, this means that somewhere in the immediate vicinity of the asshole, there was a pocket of pus that needed draining. Needless to say, our entire crew was less than thrilled. Yeah. This already does not sound fun. I went to the emergency room to transport the patient, and the only thing the ER nurse said as she handed me the chart was, "Have fun with this one." Amongst healthcare professionals, vague statements like that are a bad sign. My patient was a 314-pound Native American woman who barely fit on the stretcher I was transporting her on. She was rolling frantically side to side and moaning in pain, pulling at her clothes and muttering Hail Marys. I could barely get her name out of her after a few moments of questioning. So after I confirmed her identity and what we were working on, I figured it was best just to get her to the anesthesiologist so we can knock her out and get this circus started. She continued her theatrics the entire 10-minute ride to the OR, nearly falling off the surgical table as we were trying to put her under anesthetic. We see patients like this all the time, though chronic drug abusers who don't handle pain well and who have used so many drugs that even increased levels of pain medications don't touch simply because of high tolerance levels. Oh boy. It should be noted, today's surgical team was not exactly wet behind the ears. I'd been working in healthcare for several years already, mostly psych and medical settings. I've watched an 88-year-old man tear a 1-inch diameter catheter balloon out of his penis while screaming, "You'll never make me talk!" I've been attacked by an HIV-positive neo-Nazi. I've seen some shit. The other nurse have been in the OR as a trauma specialist for over 10 years. The anesthesiologist had done residency at a level 1 trauma center, or as we call them, knife and gun clubs. The surgeon was ex-army and averaged about 8 words and 2 facial expressions a week. None of us expected what was about to happen next. You just know this does not sound good. We got the lady off to sleep, put her into the stirrups, and I began washing off the rectal area. It was red and inflamed. A little bit of pus was seeping through, but it was all pretty standard. Her chart had noted that she'd been injecting IV drugs through her perineum. So this was obviously an infection from dirty needles or bad drugs. But overall, it didn't seem to warrant her repeated cries of, "Oh, Jesus, kill me now." Can you just imagine the stench of this? The surgeon steps up with a scalpel, sinks just a tip in, and at the exact same moment, the patient had a muscle twitch in her diaphragm, and just like that, all hell broke loose. Whew, what have we walked into? Unbeknownst to us, the infection had actually tunneled nearly a foot into her abdomen. Oh, that cannot be good. Creating a vast cavern full of pus, rotten tissue, and fecal matter that had seeped outside of her colon. This godforsaken mixture came rocketing out of this little incision like we were creating the funeral scene from Jane Austen's Mafia. That is so gnarly. We all wear waterproof gowns, face masks, gloves, hats, the works, all of which were as helpful as rain boots against a fire hose. The bed was in the middle of the room, an easy 7 feet from the nearest wall. But by the time we were done, I was still finding bits of rotten flesh pasted against the back wall. As the surgeon continued to advance his blade, the torrent just continued. God, sorry guys. The patient kept seizing against the ventilator, not uncommon in surgery. And with every muscle contraction, she shot more of this brackish gray-brown fluid out onto the floor until, within minutes, it was seeping into the other nurse's shoes. That's so gross. Oh my goodness. This is why I do not work in healthcare, and it's why I'm doing this. I was nearly 12 feet away, jaw dropped open within my surgical mask, watching the second nurse dry heaving and the surgeon standing on tiptoes to keep the stuff from soaking his shoes any further. The smell hit them first. Oh God, I just threw up in my mask. The other nurse was out. She tore off her mask and sprinted out of the room, shoulders still heaving. Then it hit me, mouth still wide open. That's probably not a good idea. Not able to believe the volume of fluid this woman's body contained. It was like getting a great big bite out of the despair and apathy that permeated this woman's life. I couldn't breathe. My lungs simply refused to pull any more of that stuff in. The anesthesiologist went down next. An ex-NCAA D1 tailback, his 6'2" frame shaking as he threw open the door to the OR in an attempt to get more air in, letting me glimpse the second nurse still throwing up in the sinks outside the door. Another geyser of pus splashed across the front of the surgeon. The YouTube clip of David and the dentist keeps playing in my head. Is this real life? Oh guys, I couldn't even imagine, like, what does that even, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what it actually smells like. No, God no. In all operating rooms, everywhere in the world, regardless of socialized or privatized, secular or religious, big or small, there's one thing the same. Somewhere there is a bottle of peppermint concentrate. Everyone in the department knows where it is. Everyone knows what it is for. And everyone prays to their gods that they never will have to use it. In times like this, we rub it on the inside of our masks to keep the outside smells at bay long enough to finish the procedure and shower off. I sprinted to our central supply, ripping open the drawer where this vial of ambrosia was kept, and was greeted by an empty box. The bottle had been emptied and not replaced. Somewhere out there was a godless bastard who had used the last of the peppermint oil and not replaced a single drop of it. To this day, if I figure it out who it is, I'll kill them with my bare hands. But not before cramming their head up the colon of every last meth user I can find, just so we're even. I agree with her. I definitely agree. I would do the same thing. Jesus Christ. This motherfucker did not replace it. I darted back into the room with the next best thing I can find. A vial of mastisol, which is an adhesive rub we use sometimes for bandaging. It's not as good as peppermint, but considering that over 1/3 of the floor was now thoroughly coated in what could easily be mistaken for a combination of bovine afterbirth and maple syrup, we were out of options. Don't know if I would actually use maple syrup. I like maple syrup. This might have ruined it for me. Thanks. I started rubbing as much of the mastisol as I could get on the inside of my mask. Just glad to be smelling anything except whatever slimy demon spawn we just cut out of this woman. The anesthesiologist grabbed the vial next, dousing the front of his mask in it so he could stand next to the machines long enough to make sure this woman didn't die on the table. It wasn't until that we realized that Mastisol can give you a mild high from huffing it like this. But in retrospect, that's probably what got us through. By this time, the smell had permeated out of the OR suite and down the 40-foot hallway to the front desk, where the other nurse still sat, eyes bloodshot and watery, clenching her stomach desperately. Our suite looked like the underground river of ooze from Ghostbusters 2, except dirty. Oh, so dirty. Yeah, I gotta give it to this OR nurse. She's one hell of a writer. She's so descriptive. You can literally picture everything. And it's disgusting. I stepped back into the OR suite, not wanting to leave the surgeon by himself in case he genuinely needed help. It was like one of those overly artistic representations of a zombie apocalypse you see on fan forums. Here's the one guy, in blue surgical garb, standing nearly ankle deep in lumps of dead tissue, fecal matter, and several litters of syrupy infection. He was performing surgery in the Swamps of Dagobah. Except the swamps had just come out of this woman's ass, and there was no Yoda. He and I didn't say a word for the next 10 minutes as he scraped the inside of the abscess until all the dead tissue was out. The front of his gown was a gruesome mixture of brown and red. His eyes squinted against the stinging wave vapors originating directly in front of him. I finished my required paperwork as quickly as I could. I helped him stuff the recently vacated opening full of gauze, taped this woman's buttocks closed to hold the dressing for as long as possible, woke her up, and immediately shipped her off to the recovery ward. Until then, I'd only heard of alcohol showers. Turns out 70% isopropyl alcohol is about the only thing that can even touch a scent like that once it's soaked into your skin. Oh my god. Ugh. It takes 4 or 5 bottles to get really clean, but it's worth it. It's probably the only scenario I can honestly endorse drinking a little of it too. I don't know if I would recommend that, but I probably, oh my goodness. Ugh. Seeped into the skin, eh? Ugh. As we left the locker room, the surgeon and I looked at each other, and he said the only negative sentence I heard him utter in 2.5 years of working together. That was bad. You know he ran out of words when. The next morning, the entire department, a fairly large floor within the hospital, still smelled. The housekeepers told me later that it took them nearly an hour to suction up all the fluid and debris left behind. The OR suite itself was closed off and quarantined for 2 more days just to let the smell finally clear out. I laugh now when I hear new recruits to healthcare talk about the worst thing they've seen. You ain't seen shit, kid. And that was the Swamps of Dagobah. And as you can see, there was nothing Star Wars about it. It was absolutely disgusting. I'm just so glad I don't work in healthcare. But honestly, props to those who do. They're the MVP. Honestly, you cannot pay me enough to deal with shit like this. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, I can see this image so clearly in my head. It sounds horrifying. I have no words for it. Like, I couldn't imagine like the smell and like being soaked, like you're doused in that stuff. You're like it. No, it's so. Oh my god! I just got so disgusting. But anyways, don't tell me I did not warn you at all about how disgusting this episode is. It was. I'm still laughing from the imagery of it. I can't get over it. But if you have any more, if you guys know of any more like infamous stories from Reddit that you would like me to cover on this channel, feel free to just leave it in the comments. I'll make sure to like go through them. And let's do some more of these. These are just so much fun to do. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell button as well if you want to get notifications. Anyway, stay shiny, guys.